What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Hopefully everyone is doing well. We got a big show today. We recorded this a little earlier in the week, traveling in New York. So me and Stuckey, we talked on Wednesday. We got a huge slate this week of college football games. I mean, fantastic. It doesn't get much better, honestly. Sunday, we got an international game. We got the Steelers playing the Vikings, and then we got a good slate the rest of the day. Monday night is a little hit or miss, but so Stuckey and I just banged all this stuff out. Obviously, all lines that we will discuss are brought to you by Hard Rock Bet, so make sure you download that app. Been using it now for a couple weeks since they've come on board with us. But that will be the plan today, just me and Stuckey. Yeah, other than that, before we dive in to talking about a little football, you know what I got to tell you about, my friends? My partners, the official ticketing app of this podcast, GameTime, best ticketing app in America. It doesn't get any better. So here's what I need you to do. Download this app. And if you want to go to one of these games, World Series is right around the corner. So if your playoff baseball team is playing the wild card, playing the first round, playing the AL or NLCS, you want to go to one of these games. College football, obviously, you go see a team that's you didn't even go to school there. Who cares? Go enjoy yourself. NFL games right around the corner. Here's what you do. You just take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem the code JOHN. That's my name for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. Guaranteed. On to Stuckey. Okay, going a little earlier this week. Stuckey, my main man, we're having a rough week. His Ravens got curb stomped by the Lions in front of the country. The 49ers, arguably their best player, tore his ACL for, I consider it the third time. They call it a partial tear in high school, but it's just, I got Bosa falling apart at the seams. Stuckey, just got to keep our head high and keep on swinging.
49ers injuries, it's insane. But yeah, Ravens look rough. Like I mentioned this last week, they need to get healthy. I mean, like Matabuke, they need him, and Van Noy, they need him. They're not able to get any pressure right now. Before even this game, they allowed 5.8 yards per rush. Before this game, when Matabuke was off the field, they were allowing 5.8 yards per rush. With him, 3.8. The rookies, the depth pieces on the defensive line are not playing well. But they're playing like three rookies, like Starks, Mike Green, the defensive end, Buchanan, the linebacker. Like they're just not playing really well. And then offensively, the guards are a problem, but they need Likely back. They need Likely, Ricard. Like that's how the Ravens offense hums. And their offense really hasn't been the problem, but like it didn't look as smooth as it usually does last week. But that's how they create mismatches and. With that, so getting Likely back. So those two, just the defense isn't the same right now. The offense isn't the same right now. We'll see what the injury report looks like later in the week, and if the Chiefs get Worthy back, because they're clearly missing him. I mean, they averaged 4 yards per play against the Giants, and Mahomes did not look great. He had like 4 or 5 turnover-worthy plays. He threw it backwards a couple times. Like a couple of them could have been Giants touchdowns.
Was a pretty incredible play for him to get that fumble.
Yes. But he was the one who caused it.
Yeah.
If Collinsworth going on and on about how great. Well, how about don't throw it backwards? Where there's a chance the other team returns it for a touchdown. But that's a huge game. I don't think I could play it either way. A 2.5 without more injury certainty. But whatever team loses that game, look, the Bills are 3-0, have an easy schedule. The Chargers are 3-0, have a pretty easy schedule. The Ravens already lost to the Bills. You're probably not getting the 1 seed in the AFC.
You're not. No chance.
Yeah, I mean, you would need injuries and chaos and win like 10, 11 in a row, which, yeah, it's would become a pipe dream at that point. So 2 desperate teams in Kansas City. That one should be good, but I don't have anything there betting.
I think the problem would be, the Chiefs have a bigger problem that, the Chargers would be so far out in front, and, Harbaugh's proven he win 13 games. I think the problem for the Ravens I think we feel pretty confident they'll settle the ship and win the division, but all of a sudden you're the 3 seed. Hell, the Colts, you're the 4 seed, you start having to go on the road. We saw last year, I mean, they lost the Chiefs a couple years in the AFC Championship game, but there's nothing like having home playoff games. You start going on the road in that second round. I mean, that's a mother of a matchup against either Josh Allen or Jim Harbaugh. It's like you're going to be a dog in that situation. That doesn't mean you can't win them. We've seen, Kyle Shanahan and good teams go on the road and win. McVay could have won a road game. The Ravens would be capable of healthy, but it's very challenging.
Yep. Yeah. And
the defenders missing those two guys. I mean, it was the guys they replaced them with might have been in Ravens jerseys. They did not look like Ravens players.
Yes. Yeah, they need some other guys to step up, even when they get those two back healthy, but they're obviously uber important as two Pro Bowlers. And yeah, the Chiefs offense still isn't the same. I mean, maybe it will be when Worthy and Rice come back, but the offensive line still isn't great. The left side of the offensive line still hasn't been solved. Right tackle Taylor still got lots of penalties. He can still be beat. So yeah, the Chiefs offense, I mean, Mahomes is throwing it downfield more. Like his ADOT is back up over 9. It was like 6.9 and 7 the last 2 years. But his yards per attempt, 6.3. Completion percentage, 59%. I mean, those are career lows. Last year, he was at 67%. So, yeah, that offense still has issues. So we'll see. Whoever loses this game, it's going to be a lot more questions asked.
Okay, before we dive into some NFL, I mean, this is a pretty incredible college slate.
Oh, yeah.
Bama, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, TCU, ASU to me is a little bit of a sleeper, like really good game on the docket. Penn State, Oregon is fantastic. I mean, I don't know where you stood on this, but I saw a lot of people like this could be a little bit of a down transition year for Oregon. I mean, the Cal quarterback transferred, I think, because he realized like I'm not starting over Moore, and Moore's been awesome, and obviously they recruit so well. Washington, Ohio State. I mean, Washington. I in this day and age, you have so much player turnover, but I mean, they were in the national championship a couple years ago, and Jed, had Arizona as one of the better programs in the country. I mean, Arizona was good. I mean, that's pretty crazy what he accomplished. So he's clearly a good coach who's worked for Harbaugh and Belichick and McVay. I guess let's just start with the main event. I would consider Bama, Georgia. Again, it's hard to. This isn't the NFL, so it's like last year they beat the shit out of them. I know they came back, but they were blowed up 28-0 or whatever. I mean, their quarterback is different. he played a huge role. That game by Milroe, if you just watch the first half, you'd be like, this is the best player in the country and going to be the number 1 overall pick. And obviously, he's not that. But I don't know. I mean, at Georgia, between the hedges, Kalen DeBoer, like I watched a little bit of them over the last couple of weeks. They've definitely settled the ship and kind of got it back. And they clearly have, everyone hammered. Their offensive line's good. They have good skill guys. And obviously their secondary's talented. What do you make of Georgia? I mean, you're getting 3 points at Bama. This game after the Florida State game would have felt like Bama would be getting a touchdown. So it's definitely come back to earth a little bit. Kind of a stay away for me. Because I don't quite trust Bama after that Florida State thing, but that might just be an outlier game for them.
Yeah, it's tough. And both defenses, I think, are definitely have taken a step back from like what we're used to with Alabama and Georgia. Like they don't have just as many dominant game records up front. And you saw that with Georgia against Tennessee, and their secondary isn't playing that well. Like Tennessee, Georgia, Kirby has shut down Tennessee every time they've ever played. And like they never cleared 17 points until this year. And Georgia arguably got lucky to win that game. They got that 4th down conversion, the 2-point conversion. So they easily could have lost that game. But that's the only data point we have. The other games, they didn't show anything. The offense obviously had a lot more life than they showed, but Kirby never shows anything in those games. He's 0-15 against the spread as a favorite of 38 or more in his career. So we just have that one game where their defense didn't look great, their offense came to life. Whereas Alabama, yes, I agree. Like Todd Simpson's been playing really well the past 2 weeks. The defense, the efforts there, like that game against Florida State, like it was bad.
What's that Georgia stat again when he's a favorite?
0-15 against the spread as a favorite of 38 or more points. Like they just show nothing. They go super vanilla, play pasta.
Is that the defensive coach in them? Like, because I feel like offensive coaches would keep the pedal to the metal and score 60, 70 points.
He'll run like there was a game against Kent State where Kent State was like dropping 8, just playing rush 3, drop 8. And he was running like just this. He ran this like mesh play, which you wouldn't do against drop 8. He ran this mesh play like 11 times in a row with um, who's Stetson Bennett. Like they ran it like 10 times in a row. He just wanted to like work on this like
Can't you see him in the headset to the OC again? Again.
Yeah. So yeah, they don't really show anything, which clearly showed. So their offense looked a lot better. Now Ty Simpson's looked great, like clean his ball who has looked spectacular. He's been accurate because he looked really bad against Florida State. But it was against UL Monroe and then Wisconsin, with their backup quarterback down a bunch of starters and a bad Wisconsin team that just
terrible
got blown out at home by Maryland. So can we really
Mike McCarthy coming in from the top rope?
Yeah, seriously. But can we really trust Alabama yet? I don't know. This is a game I think it's like, because the market's been bouncing back and forth. This is a game if it's like you get a 2.5 on Georgia, you take it. If you get a 3.5 on Alabama, you take it. Georgia hasn't lost a home game in regulation since 2016, which is insane. They lost one game in overtime in 2019. They haven't lost at home since then. Interestingly enough, they haven't beat Alabama at home since 2003, but they haven't played in Athens since Kirby got there in 2016. So this will be the first meeting there. So yeah, now I will say, like, the quarterbacks that give Alabama and quarterbacks and offenses that give Alabama and Georgia issues are the ones like Florida State, Vanderbilt with the running quarterbacks. You saw that with Milroe last year. You saw that with Alabama against Florida State, against Vanderbilt last year. Oklahoma, they ran that option offense last year and beat Alabama. So with Jackson Arnold. So like, but that's not really the offenses here. So the defenses might would look a little bit better. But I don't have a strong feel either way. But if you can find a 2.5 on Georgia, I'd take it. And if you wanted to take the 3.5 on Alabama, I wouldn't blame you. But just mainly looking forward to watching that one. Learning more about both teams because it's just like 2 data points. Neither looked great for various reasons. The real data points. So we'll definitely get a better feel for who those teams are after Saturday.
I remember 2 years ago I was shopping with my wife because we just moved into this house and we needed some like furniture, some like grown-up furniture. And I was at the furniture store and they had a television and I just sat there and watched. It was at night. And it was LSU versus Ole Miss 2 years ago at Ole Miss, and it was an incredible game. And I can't remember the final score, but LSU,
it was like 51-48 or something.
Yeah, it was like, she's like, we got to go. I'm like, I'm not moving. This is incredible TV. And that was Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas, and Malik Neighbors. And the irony is a couple years later, like LSU's defense was terrible. Now their defense looks pretty good, but offensively, I think we got some question marks. And Ole Miss, I'll be honest, I haven't watched that much of them just because, I mean, you talk about playing nobody. So it's, the data points for them coming into this game. Now, based on the previous couple of years, they have talent, they have good coaching. Lane was bitching and moaning about, like, if this game was at LSU, this thing would be at night, but here they put it during the day, which, a couple of years ago, that was a big advantage for them playing at night. Defensively so far, just following their scores, doesn't feel like Ole Miss is exactly a juggernaut. So, I want to take LSU here, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really trust, like, if their offense stalls out and you get into a point where we know Lane can score some points, makes me a little nervous.
Yeah. Look, I have LSU to win the SEC. I have some LSU to win the national title. Feeling really good about that through 3 weeks. But then you look back and you say, okay, a win at Clemson
means nothing.
They're horrendous. They looked worse against Syracuse in a save it season spot at home. They also lost to Georgia Tech. And then you beat Florida, but you needed 5 picks. And you still only won by 10. And Florida, they don't look great. So
they're good on D.
Yeah, the D is really good playing hard, but the offense does not look great. The Clemson offense does not look great. So how much of that plays into the LSU defense? I do believe the LSU defense is significantly improved. They're especially on the back end, but they had the number 1 transfer portal class, so they brought in some guys. They're definitely much more talented, but it is the offense that's the question. The offensive line, they lost 4 guys to the NFL, and they still don't have a run game. The pass protection isn't as good. So can you trust them here? Now, the Ole Miss defense has taken an enormous step back. So, last year they were one of the best defenses in the country, and they lost a ton of talent, guys who are starting in the NFL right now from that team, and they just haven't replaced it. The offensive line
coordinator's the old Bama guy, right?
Yep, Pete Golding. The offensive line is real. It's not good either, so that could be a problem. So I really just don't know. My first 55 is a key number in college. I actually would look at the under here because I do think the LSU offense has real problems. The Ole Miss offense has been electric, but the offensive line is not good. They haven't played any really good defenses. And this kid Chambliss, D2 transfer, who has taken over for Austin Simmons, he went to Ferris State. I mean, what a find by Cliff, and he won the national title. And I mean, Ferris State's a powerhouse in D2. But he's been electric, but he hasn't seen a defense like this. Like the Arkansas defense is really, really, really bad. So yeah, my first inclination, even though we just talked about that 51-48 game, is to look under, because I wanted to bet LSU too. I just don't have enough confidence right at this moment, based on what all the other teams that they have beat have done. So yeah, it's under or nothing. Should be a fun game though. And the best storyline, this is, you just can't make this up, is Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry, who's in college, just posted on her Instagram a picture of her with, I guess, her new boyfriend, Whit Weeks, who's the star linebacker for LSU. So that's another layer to this. I'm sure Lane might have, I don't have a daughter, but I'm sure he spent a couple extra hours trying to draw up some plays to make Weeks look dumb out there. Try to spin him around a couple times. So that's just a fun side story to this.
I feel like a lot of people in the SEC date people at other SEC schools, like Brock Bowers. Now, granted, it was a high school sweetheart. She was at Tennessee when he's at Georgia. Where I come from, that's impossible. If you go to other schools, like it's a wrap. Whether you're the star athlete or whether you're just Joe Schmo business student. Yet these people, it feels like, just have normal relationships. You know the South better than me, the location. How do they get back and forth? Like I get you can drive most places, but still, it seems like a different world down there than what I'm used to, where people went to college and like you just kind of eventually break. It's impossible to date someone, in a different town, let alone different schools in different states. But it happens a lot in the SEC.
I think part of that is like there's, I guess it's like kind of cool that you can go visit another college, and then there's maybe part of it's just like I don't want to be bothered by any. If you're a girl, I don't want to be bothered by any guys at my school. I hate everyone here, and then you end up dating someone else. I don't know. It happens more often than you think, though.
I was just looking at Penn State's played you, and the School of the Blind. Oregon, in theory, had some people on their schedule, but it turned out R.I.P. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. I had a buddy in the NFL that said he watched that tape a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I can't believe what I'm watching." I've been scouting for a long time. Oklahoma State's had a lot of NFL guys, and they look like a high school team.
They got blown out at home by Tulsa.
Yeah, and even Oregon State. I mean, nowadays with the NIL,
they're bad.
They should just become playing Montana and Montana State in 1AA, which I think feels inevitable, which is sad because forever they tried and they got fucked by the conference realignment. So it's not like Oregon, in theory, they were playing some people, but it turns out they did not. So it's hard. Now, we know both these teams are good, especially Penn State coming into the season. Game of Penn State, I think there is tangible pressure on this guy to win one of these games. Like, if we're going to take you seriously, like last year I had pretty sizable bet on them against Notre Dame. I felt pretty good, obviously freakish, pass across his body. But at the same time, like, in what world can I feel confident betting on this team in big games until they win a big game? So to me, I'm not touching them until they prove it. And then I might back them, because is it fair to say, like, do you believe they have, especially in this landscape, do they have the talent to win the national championship? The coaching, the players, and the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, there's no clear cut.
That's my point.
Favorite. So there's like 8 to 10 teams that literally, like, normally there's like, all right, it's pretty much going to be one of these 3 to 4, sometimes 1 to 2. that are a cut above. This year, like, especially with some of these young quarterbacks, you could have some teams even rise up some more. But there's like 8 to 10 teams that are in that discussion this year. So yeah, they certainly could win it all. Now, so I did play Penn State here.
There's more pressure on them in this game, right, than Oregon and landing in this spot.
Yeah.
Especially he beat them in the championship game, 9 months ago?
Yeah. Now, I don't think Oregon is as good. They're obviously super talented, but they went from a 6-year senior quarterback and countless NFL guys. They also lost one of their best receivers before the season started. And Oregon has looked so much better than Penn State just on the eye test. Neither has played anybody. But from what I've heard is that Penn State has showed nothing, which is smart because now, can you just turn it on? Well, it'll take them some time, but they've just gone super vanilla. Basically, their season is a 2-game season, and they just need to pretty much win one, and then they're in the college football playoff. But they have Ohio State, and they have Oregon. And you have 3 cakewalks, and then a bye week, and then Oregon. So there is no reason to show anything. That's like the smart way to approach it. And that's a huge advantage here. I mean, Oregon went across country, played Northwestern, back, played their rival, and then back again. Meanwhile, Penn State, you say what you want about James Franklin, he hasn't won these big games. A lot of the reason for that is because he clams up in these big moments, and that's one of the things I'm afraid about because I did play Penn State -3, but landing is really aggressive, and I mean you see this with
he's got Dan Campbell to him.
Dan Campbell, like he's going to go for it on 4th downs, and James Franklin gets too conservative too often, so that does scare me a bit. But you have throw out what you want about James Franklin. You have 2 of the best coordinators in college football who have a bye, so they have 2 weeks prepared, but essentially they've had 2 months. All summer, they've been preparing for this game. Unleash your wrinkles. They're probably going to run Al or more. That was one of the points of emphasis. So that is a big advantage to me. I mean, they're probably the best coordinator duo in college football, Kodal Nicki and Jim Knowles. Big advantage there. Then you have the travel. Oregon played last week. And I just, look, if you go based on the eye test and you go based on just the results this year, you would be like, all right, I'm taking the points with Oregon. But before the season, this spread would have been 7.5 or more. So I'm sticking with my priors here because I'm basically just saying, like, look, Oregon has a brand new team. So they were like pedal to the metal and they're like figuring out what they have with more. And so they're way more talented than all the teams they play. So obviously they looked great. But I still need to, like, Dante Moore has never won a big game in his life. Like the quarterback experience. Now you're going to Happy Valley at night, whiteout. Like that's way different. Their best receiver is a freshman, the true freshman. Their best tight end's a true freshman. Like you're asking a lot of these guys going up against a really good defense. And I need to see it. Moore hasn't been under pressure. He hasn't had to make like tight window throws. And this is a guy that still really struggled anytime he got in. Now it's going to look a lot better at Oregon, but at UCLA, whenever he played like a real Power 4 opponent. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Penn State probably has the more reliable quarterback at this moment, the better coordinator collection, the better running backs. Their receivers are much improved. Like, that's probably a wash. And I would take the Penn State defense over the Oregon defense right now. So I think this is just, you're getting Penn State cheap in a good spot. They haven't showed anything. And I'll make Dante Moore prove it to me that him and, these young kids on this Oregon offense who haven't really played in a big game like this can get it done on the road. So I did play Penn State. I could look foolish, but I'm trusting more in my priors and basically just saying, like, I don't really care what I saw these first 3 weeks against, Little Sisters of the Poor for all 3 teams. Throw in the bye week, throw in like Penn State holding stuff back, the more experienced team at home. I did roll with Penn State -3.
Well, if Penn State wins this game, then their season again shifts to a 2-game season where they can lose to Ohio State, but if then they beat them in the conference championship game, they'd probably be a top 4 seed. What do you think?
Yep.
So it's like they would just, now you would rather lose to Ohio State and then win the conference championship than the inverse because it might cost you a bye, which I guess we're going to find out this year exactly how that works if a situation like this plays, because you go like, is one game more important than the other? I don't know. How do you think that would play out?
Yeah, it depends on like what the other, like how those other teams look. There's so many variables, but
if they're both like 11-1 going into the game.
Yeah, if they win, I think it wouldn't matter because like if you lose this home game, but then you get a win at Ohio State, like that kind of washes it away. If you win this and you lose at Ohio State, everyone's going to give you a pass. So I think at 11-1, win the conference title, you're definitely a top seed. I mean, they have Indiana, but they get them at home. That's like the only other really tough.
I'll give Cignetti some credit. I mean, I didn't take him that seriously based off last year, and you win a game. Who knows how good Illinois is, but you win at 63-10. That was impressive.
They dominated that game, start to finish. I mean, Illinois did lose it. They were without their top 6 D-backs at one point in the game, but they were going to blow them out of the water regardless. So yeah, I did play Penn State here. Should be a good one though.
Okay, last college game. Want to hit on Washington, Ohio State. This is where, listen, it pains me that the Pac-12 doesn't exist, but I do think it adds to the Big Ten is just better because of this, and I would say the same thing with the SEC adding Texas and Oklahoma. When you start getting a random Arkansas playing Oklahoma or Texas playing, Mississippi State, it's just more interesting. And Ohio State playing at Washington. I remember a couple years ago, before they had moved conferences, I think this game got canceled because of the vid. It was Washington and Oregon were both playing Ohio State and Michigan. I forget exactly what it was, but it was okay, these games were sweet. These were the first couple weeks opening games, and they both got canceled. Might have been 2020, but this is a good game. I mean, I think Jed's pretty good, and I remember a buddy told me, I think we had talked about it, that last year was a transition year for them, and they were going to use their NIL once they got a year under their belt. And clearly, I just watched them against UC Davis, which obviously is not a fair fight, but they definitely are way more talented than they were last year. Now, Ohio State's a different animal, but this is not an easy. It's a long travel for them. Tough place to play. I wouldn't consider it the best environment in America, but it's not bad. I mean, it's just this is a tough game for Ohio State.
Yeah, I played Washington. I mean, I played them early in the week. They're plus 10.
They're getting over a touchdown, 7.5 points.
Yeah. So I think Washington's super live in this game to pull off an upset. There's a couple things, they're better in the trenches. And if people aren't familiar with Washington, and I agree, I think Washington's one of the most underrated home fields. It's not the best, but it's one of the most underrated. I mean, they've won 22 straight at home, which is the longest for them since I think they're...
You removed the year when Peterson retired and they put in, what's his name? They've been really good for almost a decade now, haven't they?
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, they've won 22 straight at home. If you're not familiar with Washington, they have maybe the first receiver taken in the draft next year. I mean, because Smith is not going to go he can't go to the draft next year, which is crazy.
Neither
can Denzel Boston. They have one of the best running backs in the country, and a guy who can also catch out of the back. I mean, he's going to be drafted playing the NFL. Damon Williams, their quarterback, is very, very good. He can run. He can throw. He's a problem. They're better in the trenches. So I assume Ohio State's going to try to take away Boston, but that's where Williams' legs. That's where their backs are going to come in out of the backfield. So there's some things they could do here. And then Jed Fish is probably a top 5 play caller, play designer in college football. They're so good in the scripted portion, which is huge when you're playing this huge game at home. If you can jump out and not get suffocated early and just build that momentum, get the crowd into it. And yeah, I still have questions about Ohio State. They're obviously one of the best, handful of teams in the country. But my questions coming into the year were, okay, saying, what's he going to look like? When is he ready? He's looked great the last 2 weeks, but against Texas, it was not great. And I mean, if Texas could score in the red zone, Ohio State loses that game. And we gave all the credit to the Ohio State defense. But the Texas offense and Arch have been horrendous since. The next 2 weeks, Arch went 11 of 24 for 140 yards against UTEP at home. So I don't So I had to just step back and say, okay, wait, this Ohio State defense has lost a lot. Maybe they're not as dominant as they look. Maybe I still have questions about Matt Patricia. So I'll take Fish over Patricia. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind here, because the Washington offense is really, really good. It's one of the best in the country. I think that they can score here, but can they get stops? So that's number one. It's going to saying it's his first true road start in a hostile environment. We've seen freshmen, pardon my French, shit the bed in that scenario all year long. So that's not easy. We'll see how he handles that. Washington plays a lot of cover one, a lot of man. Their defense coordinator is Ryan Walters. And they played a lot of man last year too. But they have two really, really good corners. Prysock, they're both Arizona transfers. Prysock and Sicario Davis, both going to play at the next level. So, and that's the whole, they need that for their defense. They can just match up on the outside. They're actually getting pressure this year too without blitzing. Davis is questionable. He hurt his ribs. I think he's going to play. They need him. He didn't play last week. This is like something to keep an eye on. He didn't play last week. So they brought in a sophomore who got roasted by Washington State. He was getting beat constantly. Then they had to bring in a true freshman. You don't want to be doing that against Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. Like they need Davis. They need Prysock in there. So that's something to watch. They also lost their best linebacker last week to an injury. He's not going to play, but they might get an all-conference kid from Arizona who tore his ACL last October. He has been practicing. He might come back, which would be big because Washington doesn't have like the depth of an Ohio State. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. And they might get one of their best pass rushers who hasn't played this year back. So there's some moving pieces on this defense, and you want this defense at full strength, especially Davis. That's something to keep an eye on. But if Davis does play, they have the guys to man up on the outside, force Sane into some tight throws, some mistakes potentially. Can the run defense hold up? I don't think this Ohio State run game is anywhere close to as good as last year. So that's good, but that does scare me. But yeah, I think there's a lot of intangibles here that are working in Washington's favor. So I took some Purple Rain plus the points. I think they're pretty live here, especially if Davis plays. But if he doesn't, it could be trouble.
Okay, let's transition to the NFL. I saw a number, and I'm like, oh, this is a classic. Team just blows out. They're going to Pittsburgh. Tomlin's a home dog. And then I realized, well, they're starting the international games. So not quite I'm like, don't love that number quite as much. The Steelers, I don't know, man. I don't see it. And I think this week, who knows? I mean, is Carson Wentz in 2025 better than JJ McCarthy? Now, that's I guess a good problem to have, given that if they didn't have a backup, I mean, JJ won. He's not even capable of playing. He's injured again. But I mean, 7 of 8 quarters were pretty bad. I just think if this defense is flying around, Aaron, to me, he's looked old for a couple years now. He just kind of slings that go route. He's always screaming at the referees for a flag. I mean, he looks old. In the face, he's looked old for years, but like his play now looks his age. Father time comes for us all. I mean, fucking older than me. I mean, I'm 40 years old, so it's like we shouldn't be that shocked. I think the Steelers are in big trouble, just big picture. You get 5 turnovers and you struggle to win the game. If you give a good team, if you gave the Bills, the Ravens, the Lions 5 turnovers, like what would the score be? Would you, if you had to guess, 40 plus points, right?
Yep.
So I mean, you're going to give that many possessions.
And many of them came like at the goal line, like driving for the win. Like it was insane.
This feels too easy, taking the Vikings here, because there's no, like, I don't know how this line's not bigger. I guess it's just Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz. People are always going to, the Steelers are a public team when there's a plus next to them. It's like Aaron Rodgers versus Carson Wentz. There's going to be enough support for the Steelers. But I agree. It's under 3, it's Vikings or nothing. Vikings are going to get Addison back. They should get Kelly back, their center. Darrisaw came back, their left tackle. So their offensive line, Jackson will miss, the rookie from Ohio State, who's looked really, really good. But they should be okay on the offensive line. Their defense is pretty much close to healthy. The Steelers are not. Like, they have a bunch of defensive injuries. That we're recording this on Wednesday, early afternoon, so I don't know their injury report. But they're not fully healthy on defense, and their defense has looked horrendous. Like, you're talking about a Steelers team that arguably should be 0-3. And then this line definitely would be over a field goal. Like, they were outplayed by the Seahawks. I know there was a fluke special teams play, but they were outplayed by the Jets for the most part. And then they were outplayed last weekend. So they've been
outgained in their 2 wins by like 280 yards or something.
Yeah, they easily could be 0-3. And I mean, the Vikings have a pair of dominant wins. They should win a line of scrimmage battle on both sides now that they're healthier on the offensive line. The Steelers' defensive line, besides Hayward, has not been great. And where this comes down to for me is, you pretty much alluded to it. The Steelers can't run the ball. They've been really poor there. Their offensive line has not been great, their tackles in particular. And the Vikings' defense, where you can get them, is on the ground, but the Steelers can't really run it. And Rodgers has been the worst quarterback in the league this year under pressure. And Steelers are 31st in pass block win rate. So what does that mean? They can't run it. They're going to be in third and longs. Rodgers is 6 of 22 when under pressure this season with 3 picks. So, and Vikings are top 3 in pressure rate. So it's going to be third and longs, and Flores bringing pressure on Rodgers, and he's not going to have any recourse. And
was there a better quarterback in his prime against pressure than him?
Nope.
That tells you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah. And now he's just it's sad to watch. So yeah, I under 3. I like the Vikings. Favorites have been really good on these overseas games for what it's worth.
You called it last week. You said week 3 is prime for an upset, right? And
too bad I bet the Rams plus 3.5. Probably the worst beat I've ever had in 20 years.
But the Browns beat the Packers. Now, you also said this Browns defense is good. And listen, you win a game 10-0 or 10-3 on the road at Cleveland. At the end of the season, if you win 13, 14 games, no one judges you for that. This isn't college football. No one gives a shit, right? It's a good win. Get out of there, get moving. They lose that game. So now everyone's like, what's up with the Packers? The Cowboys, I probably was a little hyperbolic calling Eberflus the worst defensive coach. And I understand that they have bad defensive personnel. But when guys are wide open, this used to happen to Brandon Staley. When guys are wide open, that means the players have no clue what's going on. That means they are, whether it's me or you playing defensive back, they're just completely in. This is the NFL. Diggs tripping against Rome happens. Like, the people trip. But when a guy's just wide open, especially in red zone spots, like, your players are clueless when they break the huddle. I think I would be stunned if the Packers don't win this game by double digits. Now, I think the thing would be how potent is the Packers offense. But I just think it's an easy one full of floor to kind of, just fucking get after their ass this week. And he's already kind of a red ass defensively with CD gone. I mean, you felt it immediately when he rolls his ankle. You're like, God, their offense goes from pretty good to like, ooh, not quite the same. This feels, especially with the Micah stuff, like 30-13 or something written all over it. This is my favorite line on the board. And I typically don't love these -7s on the road, but I'd be stunned if the Packers. I'll look at the Packers differently if this game's close.
Yeah, I mean the Cowboys, but also the Cowboys offense now has, you lost Lamb. You also have a couple of your starting offensive linemen are out. Now, so their offense still can be feisty with Dak, who can probably put up some points. I don't mind the over, but I don't know.
Pickens has looked good.
Yeah, I don't know how they get stops, and their offense just isn't at the same level. Not with a healthy offensive line, and of course not without Lamb. Like, that was going to be what they had to fall back on this year. You had to hope the offensive line was good. Dak was great. And then you brought in Pickens, and then you have these 2 dynamic receivers. Well, now you're basically the Steelers offense of last year, and without a defense. Special teams are good. So, like, how many points can they steal with their returns, kick returns, and then Aubrey hitting 70-yarders? So that's all indoors. That's always a thing with the Cowboys. Like, there's going to be a lot of drives where they just need like 10 yards to get a field goal. But
what do you think they could trade Aubrey for? 3rd rounder?
It's possible. The 49ers, they trade a
3rd round for him.
They should. So the 49ers also can't figure out the new kickoff rule. They have the worst. Teams have the best starting field position against them. You know who has figured it out?
The Rams.
The Rams and the Panthers. They kick these knuckleballs, these like knuckleball line drives, and these teams can't. The Eagles started at the 12-yard line, 10,
all game long.
It was insane. But the Panthers and Rams, the average starting field position for their opponents is the 20-yard line. And then the 49ers is the 34. It's a huge difference.
I hate it when was it Bates on Monday night where he tried to he's trying to angle these and it goes out of bounds. You just give it to him on the 40. I'm like, give it to him on the 40. If you gave that to Bryce Young on the 40, let alone Lamar Jackson, that is a devastating play to kick it out of bounds nowadays. I would never angle it toward the front pylons ever. The penalty's too great. I mean, it's basically, I would imagine the expected points value, it'd be minimum 2.5, 3 points.
Yeah.
Starting at 40?
Yeah, you have teams have to start. I'm curious to see how many catch on, how many are going to start practicing these line drive knucklers. I don't know if I don't know the ins and outs of the art of kicking. I don't know how easy it is to learn to do that, but that's been really effective so far.
This rule has worked because the kickoff is more interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean the kickoff percentage, the amount of returns is through the roof. It's insane. It's like 80% of them are being returned, but the field position hasn't gone up too much, but there's more variance. And part of that, it's like some of these teams are doing it really well, and then there's bigger returns. There's a lot of times where teams are starting at the 40, so it definitely made it more interesting. But yeah, Packers should score at will here. Like their offensive line is banged up, so I'm curious to see if they get some of those guys back, which really cost them last week. They couldn't block Cleveland, couldn't block them. There was no block. They had nothing. Like they didn't have any time.
Clip? Run, Jordan, run.
Yes, that was amazing. Like they couldn't block them. Now if you're playing the Cowboys and you have offensive line injuries, it's not really that big of a deal. They don't have an elite pass rush, and then you mentioned Parsons. So yeah, I couldn't bet the Cowboys here. The Packers are nothing. I actually don't mind the over either. So Cowboys will be throwing. They're fast, up tempo, and the Packers should score at will. Cowboys should put up a couple touchdowns here at the very minimum. So yeah, and then I'm curious to see if the Browns against the Lions, like the Ravens weren't able to get pressure. The Browns can get pressure, and that Lions interior offensive line is an issue if you have guys, and Cleveland has guys, and Goff, if you can get him under pressure, that's how you fluster. Now he's going to be indoors. Can they hold him down enough to where Flacco and that offense can do enough? I don't know, but it'll be fun to watch for sure. But yeah, I agree with you on your Packers take. What else did I play? I did play the Falcons. Lines come down a bit, but I still like them. The Commanders Penix had a nightmare game. I still believe in him. It was an awful game. Quarterbacks have these when they're young. He hasn't even started a full season yet. The Commanders are beat up. Their secondary's beat up, lost a couple starters. I mean, they're signing like Darnell Savage from the Jags, who just got cut. He might start this week. McLaurin, I don't think is going to play. We just still don't know on Jaden Daniels. If he does play, I don't think he's going to be mobile. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot. This is like the trifecta of spots for the Falcons. They lost last week. They lost 30-0. But I mean, they outgained the Panthers by 100 yards. It was kind of misleading. It just was one of those games where everything went against them. Penix was so inaccurate. They missed a couple field goals. There was 2 defensive touchdowns. Like, it was a mess. But just to these spots, an underdog off of a shutout loss, 46-29-3 against the spread over the past 25 years, 61%. Dogs off of a 30-plus point loss, 115-76-8 against the spread, 60% against the spread. That applies to the Bengals, Saints, and Falcons this week. What is the theme right there? I just told you want to bet the Falcons against the Commanders, the Saints against the Bills, the Bengals against the Broncos. Do you want to bet any of those teams?
No.
That's one of the reasons why these teams, usually you're going to get, these are professionals. You're going to get their best effort the next week. But a lot of times the line is going to be a bit inflated. Like this Bills Saints line would have been 14 before last week. And the thing is, the Saints didn't even play that bad on a down-to-down basis. They gave up like 28 points on special teams. It was insane. Like, they put a punt block for a touchdown. They got an 80-yard punt return. It was a disaster on special teams. So
15-plus point spread not even in October is pretty large.
Yeah, if I get 17 here, I'm definitely on it. I still might bet 16.5. Like, here's the thing. The Saints, the Bills are just going to run it here, and they're probably not going to. You don't run Allen in a game like this, so like they're going to get a lead. And by the way, they were just favored by 11.5 against the disaster of the Dolphins, and the Dolphins were in that game until the very end, and the Bills didn't cover. But the Saints are like 16th in success rate in non-garbage time, 13th passing success rate. Like Rattler's been okay.
They have good offensive pieces.
Yeah, and and the Saints have a top 10 run defense so far. So, like, their run D's been pretty good. So what does that mean is, like, if the Bills get up big, they're just going to sit on this. And the the Saints' run D's been good. Like they can get some stops when the Bills don't care, and then they can get in the back door. They also could just hang around here. So I think they're going to get a couple offensive linemen back. Now, situationally, like it's good off the 30-point loss, but they're coming across the country. Bills have extra rest. It's their second straight road game. That's not ideal. And we'll see if Oliver and Milano play for Buffalo. But that's just too high. That's another one. Like the Bengals-Broncos. Bengals, you wouldn't be getting over 7 here if they didn't lose by 40. But a lot of that, they had 5 turnovers. Like
that
they were
so
putting the ball on the ground.
Gross.
And, like Isaiah Rodgers had like the greatest game in NFL history from a cornerback, and everything just went downhill. And then you're playing against Flores, who's bringing the house, and so this is still Bo Nix laying over a touchdown. I did play the Bengals plus 7.5, but historically playing those teams off 30+ point losses, when you think about it, who wants to bet those teams? And you're getting them now over key numbers has generally been a recipe for success.
Okay, go 2 more interesting games. I saw Sirianni say, obviously the Bucs have kind of had their number. They're leaving early, which I don't know the exact flight. I've actually made it before, but it's not that far. You wouldn't typically go 2 days, Friday if you're playing the Bucs from Philly. So it's I don't want to say it's in their head, but it's something I'm sure they've been talking about for a while. The Bucs, you got Mike Evans is out, right? But Godwin and Wirfs could return, right? I think they, I know the GM a little bit. I think Wirfs, they've been really slow playing it. They feel pretty good about him. They just didn't want to rush him back. Smart move. I mean, it's too important. But I don't know. I mean, the Bucs have pulled some games, obviously, out of their what. I think first time in NFL history, 3 straight comebacks, 3 straight weeks to open the season or something.
Yeah, they have 3 wins by 6 total points.
Yeah, so but it's not like the Eagles are.
But the Eagles could easily be 0-3. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I just think if you get over a field goal, you got to take Tampa at home in this situation or is Kevin Patola just going to start throwing to, I don't know, A.J. Brown all the time? Might be a good idea. If they open up the offense, I like the Eagles a little bit more, but I don't know. I mean, A.J. Brown even said after the game, he's like, I don't know why we're so conservative. Just throw the ball, get the ball to our playmakers in space. Like, he did it in a nice way. He was good about it. And he 100% was correct. But he basically said, what the fuck have we been doing? Let him throw the ball outside the numbers.
Yeah, so that's the big wild card here because you can't run on Tampa. Tampa's run defense is elite. They're number 1 in the NFL so far this season. So, and the Eagles do miss Becton. Like their offensive line isn't the same in the interior, which is why Barkley hasn't been able to get going. And the offense has been predictable. So if they come out here and just try to run it, like the Bucs are going to be in the game. But if they come out and throw it and are aggressive. So I don't know on that front. They're trying to go down there and acclimate to the weather, and humidity. So, but Tampa, you need Wirfs, I think, and probably Godwin to play. Now, Gluka's been really good, but he also doesn't get the attention, like as much attention because you have Evans on the field. So, like now, if it's just him out there, it's definitely going to be tougher because the Eagles have a problem at their second corner spot. So, you want like 2 good receivers out there. Baker still finds a way, but Wirfs is huge this week because this is not the defensive line. Like the Jets don't have a great defensive line, and they were missing one of their best pass rushers last week. The Bucs could not block them. Now, you might say, okay, well, they put up points. I can't. There comes a point in time where if you're a ref, you can't call 30 penalties. Like you just can't keep calling. Like I imagine, I don't know. I've never been a ref. They could have called a hold on every play. I think the Bucs had 8 penalties in the first quarter. It was insane. Every play was a hold. So
you think Roger calls at halftime like, "Hey guys, this is a TV product. We gotta."
But even as a rep, like you're in Tampa, so
no,
you can't.
I know.
Like, just the human nature. You're like, I can't keep doing this. So, but so now that you're going, the Eagles' defensive line isn't as good as last year, but it's really good. It's a lot better than the Jets. So if you don't have Wirfs, Hideki, your right tackle's on IR. Your right guard, Mock, is on IR. If you don't have Wirfs, your center is still at left tackle. It's an absolute circus. But if you get Wirfs back, You have one of the best left tackles in the NFL on Baker's blind side. You get Barton back at center, and like it's not as bad. Still not ideal, but if you don't have Wirfs, then basically it's like five guys that are new at their positions, and like the guy you had a left guard he's been out. Like so, it is a disaster. So Wirfs coming back and Barton being able to go to center, and then Godwin is huge because of Evans being out. So without knowing the Eagles game plan, these two teams have owned me this year. I had the Rams last week. Disaster. I had the Falcons against the Bucs, the Texans against the Bucs. Luckily, I had the Jets, and they almost screwed me again. But so I haven't had a good read on these teams, although I've been really unlucky. But these two teams are the luck teams. I don't know. If Wirfs is back, I would take over 3. But I don't have a good feel. I am curious to see. I told you this last week. The NFL is going to. They came out and they said we're going to officiate the tush push closer. It's going to cost the Eagles 4 points. Well, they went off sides, the first one, and they didn't call it. The whole world saw it, and they end up calling it on the Saints. The poor old Saints got a false start on a tush push. I couldn't believe they didn't call that. It led to 4 points. I would even have had to pull my hair out because of that missed field goal. If that didn't happen, it would have been a field goal attempt for the Eagles. Couldn't believe they didn't call that. It was like the most obvious false start. But an interesting thing here with this tush push number one, are they going to call a false start? Could like take 4 points off the board, kill a drive. And the Bucs have Vita Vea, and I think they're going to activate
the big guy,
the kid Desmond Watson from Florida, who weighs like 400. And I think they drafted him or signed him just to play the Eagles this year.
That is sweet. I didn't even think about it when I saw the headline that they had re-signed him to their practice squad. Is that what they did this week? Was he not even? Yeah, gotcha.
So I assume they're going to bring him up.
That is sick.
He's 460 pounds. So
the tush push stopper.
Yeah, that's basically why he got drafted, or why he got signed. I don't think he was drafted, but that's his role. So like, this is a huge game for him. If he gets a stop on the tush push,
he just goes team to team. Whoever's playing
every week, they just sign him. That would be amazing. So that'll be fun to watch in the game. But I don't have a strong feel that injuries.
You've had good stats over the years on the interim coach, that interim boost. What about the rookie quarterback coming in the first round, or when a guy gets benched like Russell Wilson? I'm taking the Giants this week +6. You know, the Chargers, they can go 13-4. You lose basically one game a month, right? Now you would say you're going to lose this game, but they've just huge start to their season. You beat every team in your division. I can imagine that was a huge point of emphasis all off season. We start fast this year. We have a huge lead. We get a little buffer. Like, this is a long road trip. I mean, this is the type, like, you go 2 days early because it's a 6-hour flight from Los Angeles. Listen, I actually think the weird part about the Giants, they have been shitty now beside the 9-8 season for a long time. They do feel like they got some players. I mean, Brian Burns, God, Kayvon Thibodeau looks the best I think he's ever looked. Abdul Carter
looks good.
I mean, there is no way. Do you think there's a GM in the league, if you're like, hey, you get the opportunity to draft Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, what do you think the ratio would be for Abdul Carter? 32-0?
Yeah, or 31-1, apparently.
Yeah. But they might change their tune now.
Yeah, they might change their
I'm not anti-Travis Hunter, but Abdul Carter looks like he got a chance to be like Micah Parsons 2.0. The guy's a freak. They had him standing up last week.
They had all injuries at linebacker. They just stuck him in at linebacker, and he was good.
Scattaboo, like that style, wouldn't have worked maybe 30 years ago, but these guys are smaller now. They're smaller, faster guys. So he's running over the safeties. Like, they don't look like safeties from when I was a kid and you were a kid, like Tim McDonald. Those guys don't exist. There's Todd Bowles was a safe. Todd Bowles is big. All the safeties now weigh like 200 pounds. They're fast cover guys. So Malik Neighbors a freak. I think eventually the Giants aren't. They're not like some 2-win team. And I like the Giants in this spot. And I still, like, I'm not off the Chargers, but this is your classic. I can just see the Chargers coming out flat a little bit and the Giants getting a huge boost. Now, rookie quarterback, you never know. This defensively, not the easiest matchup.
Yeah, it could go sideways, but with a rookie. But it's got to be better than what Wilson looked like last week. The Giants should have covered that game. I had them +6.5. Sadly, they lost their kicker before the game, which cost them like 9 points because they couldn't kick field goals. They couldn't kick extra points. They had to go for it, and they didn't get fourth downs. At the end, they even would have kicked another field goal instead of throwing it into the tunnel 4 times. But Mahomes had like 4 or 5 turnover-worthy plays. He didn't turn it over at all. Like he had a couple. They were really unlucky. Their defense was dominant in that game, and their defense is better. Even the back end of their defense, they added Holland. I like Nubin. They improved their secondary. You got Flott in there instead of Banks, who's been playing well. And yeah, the how the Giants can win this game twofold, and first time quarterbacks have had success against the spread. It's not overwhelming, but generally been decent bets. You have Dart, who the Chargers don't really know what to expect from the offense. So you have that uncertainty working for you. Like,
well, he's been bringing him in like plays like he would run for Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so there's probably going to be like more zone read. And the other thing is Andrew Thomas should play a full, like he's massive for that. He didn't play in the second half. They had him on a snap count. He should be. He only played he played the whole first half. Then the second half they brought in and their backup so bad, and the whole offensive line falls apart. But he should be back, and he's one of the best left tackles when healthy. And he looked healthy last week. That'll help, but they'll probably run a lot of read option stuff. I like Dart. So, and the other thing is the Chargers' offensive line is an issue right now. Like we knew that Ald is a stud. He moved to left tackle, but last week they lost Becton, has concussion, so I don't think he'll play. And after they lost Becton, and Pipkins went out too. The right tackle was really bad, but he gave up like 9 pressures last week. They brought in this kid Salyer, who was getting tossed like a rag doll, and Herbert had no time whatsoever. The Giants are one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. So Herbert could be under fire here. Maybe the Chargers go back to just leaning on the run. The Giants' run D isn't great, but Dexter Lawrence against, Salyer or and then whoever they want to put on the left side to rush Herbert, the Chargers' offense could look a little subdued here. There's like 3 teams in the NFL like that the Giants are it's like the Giants, the Broncos, the Browns, the Vikings because of scheme where like their front can just ruin a game. And they almost did against the Chiefs. Like they were just so close to a couple of game-changing turnovers. That could happen this week.
Packers probably now.
Yeah, Packers. So I'll be on the Giants as well.
Okay. Any thoughts on just the all-time great Monday Night Football game and the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets?
Over, if anything. The Dolphins' defense can't be fixed. Their secondary's bad. The Jets' defense is bad. Like, you're telling me you lost that game last week? The Bucs couldn't block. Like, they had 5 backup offensive linemen. And Evans gets hurt. I mean, we saw the Steelers put up 40. Like, the Jets' defense is broken, and they have more injuries. They lost Quinn Williams. 2-0-3 teams. Historically, when there's winless teams, it's like 64% against the spread that take the dog in those spots. It's like a ridiculous clip that they hit at. But under 45, I think this game can get a little loose, and both defenses are bad. 2-0-3 teams. The Dolphins' offense has woken up a bit the past 2 weeks. So, yeah, I would look over there. But, oh, my God, we got Browning, Nix, whoever the Jets are going to have a quarterback, and Tua.
I'm going Jets money line.
I don't mind it.
Going Jets money line. This is, I mean, Raj's got to be disappointed with the schedule maker in this situation. He can't be happy.
Bad.
But this is also why they manipulate and cook in the books with these double headers that he give you 2 crappy games, but still 2 games. What else are you going to watch?
And one of them will probably be close.
Yeah. Okay, Stuckey. Thanks for coming on early with us, and I appreciate your time and enjoy. I mean, this is a fantastic Saturday's got a chance to be pretty special.
Yeah, Saturday, amazing slate. If you have any plans, get out of them. And the whole week is going to be great. You even mentioned TCU-Arizona State. That's a huge one in the Big 12 for like who's going to potentially get to play Texas Tech, it looks like. Josh Hoover might be the best quarterback in the country. Check him out if you haven't seen him.
You like TCU plus 2.5? It's pretty hot. Yeah. It's pretty hot here. It's hot in Texas too.
I want to get a 3. So my only concern, I got to look into this. You can follow along on the Action Network app to see if I play it. So it's free. Hoover on the last play of the game. I don't know why he was in the game or why they were running a play, but he got hobbled and it didn't look good. I don't know I got to look into that. But yeah, if I can get 3, even a 2.5, I think Hoover legit might be QB1 in this class. He's that good.
Well, keep an eye on that one. Excited. Okay, Stuckey. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.